Welcome to Divisive Issues, a comic book podcast where we talk about comic books and comic book related things. I'm Ryan Lynch.
I'm Cy Crappa.
And I'm Phil Mavrikis.
Welcome, everybody.
What are we doing today?
How are you guys doing? Tell me first, how you doing, Sly?
I'm okay.
I'm extra good. I'm really good from reading
I don't care how Phil's doing.
Hey, I don't need you to care how I feel. I'm just going to tell everyone anyway.
Okay. So this week, we talked about, well, we haven't talked about it yet, but we read Superman vs. Muhammad Ali.
From 1978.
And what is it about?
What is it about? I think all you got to do is read that title, and you know what it's about.
Yeah, Superman fights Ali.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't just fight him, he boxes him.
Which, when I first heard this, thought this was a ridiculous concept, but after reading it, they do a pretty good job of making it cool.
Yeah, I like this, I liked the Charles Barkley versus Godzilla and Eminem stuff, because they were ridiculous. This I kind of liked on purpose, not ironically.
This is my favorite out of all the celebrity comics we've read.
Yeah, it's definitely mine too.
I mean, this is the first one I've read, but it's my favorite as well.
Wow.
So, real quick elevator pitch. So, aliens show up, and Superman and Muhammad Ali have to fight to be the champion of Earth.
These aliens say, we're going to destroy Earth unless your greatest warrior fights our greatest warrior. So they have to decide who is the greatest warrior, Superman or Muhammad Ali. It's a pretty big toss-up.
Yeah. And it's written by Neal and drawn by Neal Adams, which is, in 1978, that's the best creative team you could possibly have.
Yeah. We talked about how Neal and Neal Adams were the writers to the Bronze Age. And this is a good example of why. Because they're able to have real people, this weird mix of superheroes.
Yeah, and it takes we talked about it in the Bronze Age episode when they had a hard time making real stories with still ridiculous concepts, but this one is kind of a perfect example of how it can work sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it. So who should read it? Target audience.
If you hear the concept Superman vs. Muhammad Ali and say, what's that about? I want to read it. You should read it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can, it's as silly as you, it's still Superman boxing Muhammad Ali. It's not a super, super dramatic story.
It's not Superman's story.
It's really more of a Muhammad Ali story than a Superman story. But I think if that has any interest to you, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's really fun.
Definitely. And if you like Muhammad Ali as a person, you will definitely enjoy this because they really spend a lot of time trying to show his character. And I would like to say before we start, recently, obviously, as you guys know, Muhammad Ali passed away, and we wanted to do this comic kind of to show the impact that someone like Muhammad Ali had, not just in politics or in boxing, but in just the collective consciousness, pop culture of America. The impact he had at the time that people were they were excited to make a comic like this, showing, it kind of shows his legacy on the rest of the world.
And this definitely, I think, is a testament to how big of a deal this book was at the time, how big of a pop culture icon it was, because on the cover there's 200 people, and they're 200 real people. Also, Batman's there, but
Batman's a real person. What are you saying, Ryan?
Well, yeah, but in the audience, it's so many real people,
Jimmy
writers,
Carter.
editors, politicians. Jimmy Carter is there, and it's people that I assume had to give approval to be on this cover.
Fun facts: they didn't get the rights for some of these people, and they did. Neal Adams drew mustaches on them. Just to hide them.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's really funny. But either way, when you look at the cover, it looks like this is more than just that Eminem story we talked about. This looks like it's more of a part of culture at the time.
It's an event.
Than just yeah, exactly. It looks like an event.
And the story really portrays that because this is an event. Everyone is going to watch this fight throughout the whole galaxy. And the stars of it are Superman, a non-real person, but also Muhammad Ali, a real person, who, it's really something, I think, to show how big of an impact he had. And it's interesting that they made this too because he was pretty controversial at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now it's easy to forget. Like we say, oh, Muhammad Ali's above race and stuff, but he was part of the civil rights movement. Like he was a student of Malcolm X. Like he was very divisive at the time.
I would argue that even after he passed away, I still saw a lot of people on Facebook like complaining that he was a draft dodger and we shouldn't give him the credit he rightfully deserves.
Really?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
That is
so
crazy.
even though it's, I think it's pretty clear that we all are pretty big fans of his behind the gloves kind of persona, but there's still people that like harbor him as like a radical politician that they didn't necessarily agree with. And when I say politician, I mean someone politically active, not necessarily someone seeking office.
Political figure.
And I mean, he was radical.
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's still viewed that way by some people.
Yep, I get that. So, yeah, let's get into this.
Cool. So who wants to walk us through the fight of the century?
Me, I guess.
Yes.
Wow, you sound really excited, Sly.
It's a very daunting task to talk about Muhammad Ali and Superman.
To find out who should be Divisive Issue's greatest reader, we should all box and see who wins.
You're saying it's a daunting task, but fucking Jimmy Olsen did it.
Yes, true. So, just to give some backstory on this book before we get into it. Superman teamed up with a lot of weird celebrities in the 60s with Jerry Lewis, Pat Boone, and like this was...
for the record, the story that Darkseid and all of the Fourth World people first show up in has guest appearances by Don Rickles.
But like you have all these, Superman was like no stranger to weird celebrity crossovers, and this is like another addition to that line. But like even at DC, when the editor Julie Schwartz suggested, "Oh, Superman versus Muhammad Ali," everyone's like, "That's kind of stupid. Like, why would Superman box Muhammad Ali?" And they reached out to Muhammad Ali's estate and asked for his permission, and he gave permission, but he had one stipulation that had to be met, and we'll get into that as we get to the end of the story.
Okay. And one thing that I think stands out at how big of a deal it was is all those guest appearances and stuff that you talked about usually were in issues of Superman.
Yeah.
And this was its own standalone book that was like a collector's edition. It was $2.50, which back then was like, how much was a comic back then? Like 20 cents?
Yeah. And also it was part of DC's all-new collector's edition line, which were like tabloid-style books that were sort of magazine racks. So they're trying to go for more something not on a comic book rack that might appeal to other audiences for this event.
Yeah, so it's definitely like a bigger deal than a regular, Pat Boone starring in World's Finest or whatever.
And just to give some backstory on Superman, it's barely relevant, but this was during an era where Superman was like trying to stay relevant. This was the Bronze Age. And during this time, he was part of kind of a few attempts to reboot the character. One of them was the Daily Planet was shut down, and he began working for a TV company for Morgan Edge as a TV news reporter, because TV news reporters were a hip new thing in the 70s, just like Ron Burgundy.
Morgan Edgelord, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Kevin Smith in disguise?
Yeah. And so, getting to the actual story. Story opens up with Metropolis in the ghetto part of town. I assume it's Little Africa from the Bronze Age Superman episode.
Yeah, from the I'm Curious Black issue.
Yeah. But just to point out, this is Neal Adams' best work, I feel. I've seen ever.
It's I don't know if it's my favorite Neal Adams, but it's damn good. I think the art is like classic, like late 70s, and I think it looks great. What about as someone
the detail is really we're gonna say as someone who doesn't know it.
Is this your first Neal Adams book you've read?
Yes, I think it is.
He's like always my definitive 70s artist, and I think it really shows.
I really like it, and the level of detail, like the slides that it opens up in this neighborhood, and it's like a 2-page panel. What do they call it? Splash pages.
Yeah, splash page.
Yes.
And the detail and everything is just so... It's not like he was skimping just where he wants your eye to be. That's where he's going to spend the detail. Like, it really seems like a vibrant neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's a full subway station fully detailed, like, in just a tiny part of the panel. You see, like, seagulls flying off of, like, a city roof. Like, there's a lot going on here.
And, like, Neal Adams was, like, one of the artists that really helped transition comics from the old, like, classic comic look to modern-day, more realistic style art. And you could really see that here, like the amount of detail and the attention to anatomy.
And even just stylistically, you immediately get the sense, oh, this is the late 70s in some inner city.
Yeah.
It really captures the... Like, we talked about it on the X-Men episode, how we felt like the X-Men Apocalypse wasn't really grounded in the 80s as much. This is, like, right away, Neal Adams nails the style of the time.
Yep.
So the story opens with the ghetto part of Metropolis. Superman, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen are walking down. They're going to interview Muhammad Ali. And Jimmy's the cameraman, Clark Kent's the TV reporter. And Muhammad Ali's playing basketball. And they're about to do the interview when an alien shows up. An alien that's a member of the Scrub.
Yeah.
Great name. Scrub, 2 B's.
Yeah.
Scrub.
Scrubba.
So these Scrubs are a bunch of Scrubs, and they want basically have Earth's greatest warrior fight their greatest warrior.
And Charles Barkley wasn't famous enough yet,
Yeah.
so it had to be Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I also like the intro where the aliens push aside Lois Lane. Muhammad Ali says, you owe the lady an apology. The alien backhands him, and then he smashes him off his little flying platform that he's on.
Yeah.
So they really are scrubs.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
Yeah.
getting beaten up by a human being.
One thing that actually did stand out to me is at this time in comics, there weren't a lot of, women were still kind of treated like, get out of the way, women. Very,
Move,
even
bitch,
the
get out of the
alien
way.
says, yeah, the alien says, step aside, whimpering female, and pushes her out of the way. And one thing that I really like about Muhammad Ali's response, he said, I don't know where you come from, but where I come from, we don't treat folks like that. You owe the lady an apology. And it immediately stood out to me. It might even be totally coincidence, but that he doesn't say we don't treat women like that. We treat people like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like this immediately establishes that Muhammad Ali gives a shit about everybody.
Yeah.
Instead of just a chauvinism thing, he's like, no, we treat human beings like human beings.
That actually that does come up a lot in this story. That theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially knowing it was 1978, I was like, oh, that's a really cool little thing that Denny O'Neil threw in there. I wonder how involved Muhammad Ali was in this.
There's rumors that he created some of his dialogue in the story. I don't know how founded those rumors are, but his dialogue that does ring very true to his
it really does.
his persona.
It really does.
It really does.
Daniel O'Neil and Neal Adams did their research when doing this book.
Definitely.
I mean, Denny O'Neil does write in this kind of style a lot, so I could see it going either way.
Yeah. But so
anyway,
Muhammad Ali, as he's fighting this scrub, Clark Kent changes to Superman, and Superman flies up into space because he thinks it can't just be this one alien; it has to be a group of aliens. So he goes up into space and sees all these ships surrounding Earth, and he comes back, and the scrub explains "Oh, we'll blow up your planet if you don't fight us."
He also says here, "I'm going to fight your greatest warrior," and this is when Superman and Muhammad Ali start arguing, saying, "Who should be it?" And Superman's like, "Obviously me. I'm Superman." And he's like, "Yeah." Muhammad Ali tells him, "But you're not actually an Earthman. You're born on Krypton."
And Superman's like, "No, I got an Earthling citizenship in all countries. You can't take that away from me."
yeah.
I love that. He's like, "I'm a naturalized Earthman."
And then even Muhammad Ali is like, hey, why are we arguing? This alien that you have by the throat is obviously the bad guy.
Yeah, and basically the alien orders missiles to be sent towards Earth as a demonstration of their power. And Superman tries to stop him, and he manages to divert them using his super speed and super clapping.
Yeah, because they're actually not solid missiles. They're plasma missiles, so he tries to stop them and flies through them.
Yeah.
So it's hard to stop these. They establish that it's not easy for him to just go grab them.
Yeah.
He has to make a tornado and then stop a tidal wave. And
Yeah, because he makes a tornado to stop them. It stops them, but then there's a big tidal wave.
But so Superman diverts this missile, doing that big, smashing his hands together, creating a big, loud clap. But he diverts it towards an empty island instead, and that blows the fuck out of the island up.
Yeah, it really blows the shit out of this island.
well, because they launch more missiles that he can't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Superman's like, I can't stop all these missiles by myself. And the Scrub's like, oh yeah, you call us Scrub, but now we got your ass. Who's the Scrub now? And Superman's like, I guess it's me. They bicker some more over who should be the champion. And the Scrubs are like, we're sick of you guys bickering over who should be champion. You guys have to both fight us and decide that way.
And Superman's like, LOL, I am Superman. I will destroy you. And they're like, well, we have technology that could take your powers away.
Yeah.
So you'll put you guys on level grounds, which to me raised the question, if they have to depower Superman, doesn't that mean he should obviously be the champion? Because he's more powerful.
I think this is supposed to go to like the idea of who's a better fighter. Like you talked about briefly about
Oh, okay.
how does the Flash have a good running form? He's the Flash. He doesn't have to have a good running form. Does Superman know how to actually fight? He's Superman. He doesn't really have to fight.
I gotcha.
That's actually what I love about this is like when you think about it, if you did take away Superman's powers, would he like at first the concept of him fighting Muhammad Ali seems ridiculous, but superpowers aside, it actually would be a cool fight to see.
Who can spar with Superman to give him good form? Nobody.
Yeah.
You know, like with his powers, he can't do shit.
Yeah, he can't practice
without like just destroying everybody.
People get better at things by being challenged and rising to meet that challenge. He's just like shit on everyone.
Yeah.
He literally shits on everyone.
It's funny. Yeah. So they have 24 hours to meet again and have the fight take place. So Superman and Ali in the meantime go towards Superman's Fortress of Solitude in the Antarctic. So they go to his Fortress of Solitude, and Superman basically reveals he has a hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z, where they
I love that.
they can fight for an unlimited number of time in the 24 hours.
Not an unlimited. He says 24 hours. A minute is about an hour, so it's about 2 months that they have to train. And he also has like a red sun thing, like a button he hits, and it can depower Superman so he can actually spar.
I'm confused. Does he get his power from a yellow sun, or does he lose power from a red sun?
Both.
Technically, he gains his power from yellow sun, but like sometimes whenever they have a red sun appear, they make it act as though the conditions automatically create environments where he can't fight anymore. Like in Man of Steel, they had the same exact thing where he'd be flying around in Earth's environment. Then Zod and the Kryptonians would create a Krypton-like environment in their ship. And Superman's like, I can't fight anymore, like immediately, even though you would think like it would take a while to kick it.
Yeah, because that means every time he goes into a building, he would lose his powers, right?
It really does. It depends on the writers, because I've seen times where Superman is in an area with a red sun and doesn't notice until he goes to use his powers. And then there's other times that a red sun makes him like fall asleep.
It depends on the writers find convenient.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Kryptonite. Sometimes Kryptonite depowers him, sometimes it gives him like super cancer and he dies.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept it.
So, in the hyperbolic time chamber, Superman and Muhammad Ali start sparring, and Muhammad Ali is a better fighter than Superman.
I love this little full page montage where he's teaching him.
Yeah.
Superman's sitting on the ground and it looks like he's like crying and begging for
because
mercy.
Muhammad Ali punched him in the face and he's like, shit, I have never felt so much pain.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're usually invulnerable and the first time you're like vulnerable, Muhammad Ali punches you in the face as hard as he can because he says, I didn't pull that punch. That would fuck you up so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he teaches like actual boxing form. He's like, a jab is a question. A hook begins as a question and ends as a statement. He talks about crosses and uppercuts. He just basically teaches him Muhammad Ali's style of fighting.
And like he says, like Muhammad Ali would say, like he says, like, oh, a right cross is an argument. You're arguing that he ought to go to sleep. Like it's a very bravado way of talking. Like it's not,
of course, you got to be convincing.
Yeah.
And as someone who doesn't like boxing at all, I think it's pretty archaic. I will say that I actually thought the scene was so cool because Superman's like, I never really realized there was so much like finesse to this. It's more than just adding fist to face. And the way Muhammad Ali talks about it, I really got why he talked about it as such like an art form and how, you know, nuanced his technique was. And even as someone who like is predetermined to dislike boxing, I thought this scene was really cool.
Yeah. And it's awesome too. He even references a specific fight. What is that fight called? The Rumble in the Jungle or something?
Where he Foreman in Zaire.
The Foreman fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he talks about the technique he used in that fight with a quick like cut to it. And if you watch that fight, it's like he actually uses that technique of just laying on the ropes, basically letting himself get hit for like 3 rounds and saving up enough energy that immediately he just bursts out and beat the shit out of George Foreman after he was tired from fighting.
I couldn't imagine doing that. Just like tanking. I can't imagine tanking 1 punch, let alone 3 rounds of punches from like another amazing boxer.
The heavyweight champion.
Yeah, especially George Foreman was like at the time they were saying like a punch from him is like the punch of like 20 people in one.
You know, the more we talk about it, maybe Superman should sit this one out and let Muhammad Ali fight these aliens.
So, they're training, and meanwhile, Earth is like, we're not going to wait for Superman and Ali to solve this. We're going to try to bomb the aliens ourselves.
No, not just Earth. The Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And they try.
Such an Earth thing to do.
Yeah. It's such an Earth thing to do, try to defend your species instead of just taking aliens' word for it, they're invulnerable. Right, Ryan?
Yeah, and say, we'll just let Muhammad Ali fight the aliens.
Yeah. But they fail, and the Scrubs are like, if you try this again, we'll blow you up, so don't try it again. And they realize, the Superman and Muhammad Ali are cheating, they're using the hyperbolic time chamber, and they send robots to put a stop to it.
I kind of love this idea that Superman's like, don't worry, I have a plot device to let this training montage make sense. And the aliens are like, you fucking kidding me, guy? I don't think so.
Yeah, you're
and
cheating.
They just go mess it up.
Yeah.
And I especially like this because I feel like in stories like this, they always hand wave a reason why they have a bunch of time to train. And I really like that they just couldn't. They just couldn't, like, they pretend like they're going to hand wave it, and they're like, nope, you can't do this, fuck you.
They do get 2 weeks in, I think. So
yeah.
they have enough of a time.
2 weeks to become Muhammad Ali level boxing is
Right.
not enough time.
Right.
Not that 2 months is either, but...
Well, to be fair, Superman never becomes Muhammad Ali level boxing, as we'll see in a bit.
Spoilers.
But, yeah, so the aliens take Superman and Ali back to their ship. No, the Superman...
No, they beat up the robots for no reason and say, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I do really like about this is they have a really cool teamwork dynamic during this fight. The Superman and Muhammad Ali versus the robots.
Yeah.
And it really shows, like, they have been training for 2 weeks. They should have a good rapport.
Yeah.
And they do. And it's really cool seeing that reflected in just the overall pacing of this fight against these giant robots.
I also, I do want to say that, we didn't mention this before, but one of the things I found, like, really dumb about the Scrub was that they come and they say, the reason they're doing this, because we didn't say why they want this fight to happen. They said Earth is the most warlike and savage planet in the galaxy, so to prove it, we're gonna fight you in a boxing match. Like, the Scrub are so, like, they're afraid that Earthmen are savages, so they act like savages. You know what I mean?
Not gonna lie, I kind of didn't get their motivation either, and just said, you know what, that's just the premise. Whatever, I'll run with it. But I do agree that
the premise is just to show that these aliens think humans are like a bunch of savages, and it's up to Superman and Ali just to show how there's more to us than that. They're basically just plot devices to set this thing up and to demonstrate that point. And they don't have a lot of nuance to them, but they're not really supposed to have a lot of nuance to them.
Yeah, and you know they actually they do talk about it later near the end. Like not all Scrub are so hypocritical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag not all Scrubs.
So after Ali and Superman team up to defeat the robots, the Scrubs they decide to go meet the aliens, even though they say, "Oh, our timeline's not up yet," but the Scrubs say, "We know you're fucking cheating, you fucking hacksaws. You're using the hyperbolic time chamber." And then they reveal their champion, Hanya. And Hanya is like showing off his muscles, and Superman and Ali are like, "Oh, are you impressed, Superman?" And Superman's like, "Nope," and they're just yawning and pretending to be bored. And basically they're using
Muhammad Ali's like, I think he's cute. Yeah. Is the real champion behind him? Like, they're just fucking with him.
Yeah.
And he's also supposedly like genetically bred for this. He was made in a lab to be the perfect warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ali's saying like, "Oh, we gotta troll him, Superman, because if you get him agitated, then he's gonna stop fighting. He's gonna be too riled up, and you're gonna be able to get the advantage over him in the fight," which is like the method that Muhammad Ali uses in real life, where he will like trash talk people before the ring and let them tire themselves out in the actual fight. So
I love that they included that.
It also shows a nice dichotomy between Superman, who's always like so Boy Scout noble, and how Muhammad Ali is much more of like a street kind of fighter.
Yeah.
And is much more like big picture of it, other than just fists to face, like Superman says. And it's a cool conversation where Superman's like, I didn't even think about that. I'm so strong that I could just punch them and I win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool, like Sly was saying, that this is kind of like, that's his signature thing. He's most known at the time for his trash talk, where who was it? Sonny Liston, maybe? He went outside his house with a bullhorn and was like, "You're a pussy, you're a bum, you're a hobo, come fight me." And he would do stuff like that, where he would just really, really egg them on. So by the time they fought, that person was so angry that they would make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome that they were trying to show that with Hanya.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how much of Muhammad Ali's style they put in this book.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I find it great, because like this is a even though like this was made just to have a big Muhammad Ali Superman fight, they could have just half-assed it. But like even in retrospect, this is like an amazing tribute to Muhammad Ali. Like in general, like is what made him special as a fighter.
Yeah, like we're the comic fans and we're reading it and like we don't even like boxing and we're like, this is so cool. Like I am impressed with his fighting style just from this crossover, which should be the point of the crossover.
I was excited at this point when I was reading this. I was like, I'm really stoked for this fight because they say they're going to put it on intergalactic TV or something.
Yeah,
they're like all the television sets in the entire galaxy will be watching, as if everyone has TV.
So with that, after they say that, they have a big 2-page spread of all these different types of aliens, and this is especially cool because this is right after the first Star Wars came out, and I love the designs of so many of these aliens. Like one are like these like swamp-looking monsters with like brains in jars on their heads, kind of, and then there's these like little kids with really long arms, and like these chicken people.
Those Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, the Oompa Loompas. And I really like all these designs, but one thing I wanted to point out is they also show Adam Strange, who's a human, and even though he doesn't matter in the story at all, he has the caption that a minority feel emotions that we can all too easily understand, which I feel like is kind of saying all these other aliens that look really different can't possibly feel what humans feel, which is like a weird thing to throw in here.
Well, they try and show how these different aliens are all coming to watch, but not always for the same reason. Some of them are curious about it, some think it's fun, some want to test out the potential threat of Earth's power or whatever.
Yeah.
I just thought it was weird to take the one space human DC character and be like, no, but he understands because he's a human. Don't worry.
There's obviously gonna be a barrier between a fucking plasmid alien and us.
Yeah, I think it's fair to assume that like other alien species would have very different values, emotions, everything. Like people do that on Earth, and they're all the same race.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
You're calling Neal Adams a racist, Ryan?
Yes.
So in this big intergalactic boxing match, they hired Jimmy Olsen, the Earthling, to be the.
They give a good reason though.
Yeah, they do.
Because Jimmy Olsen's like, this is my big break as a newsman, and Lois Lane's like, they're only doing this so that when we lose, we're extra humiliated because you have to report on it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I think that's an awesome reason to be like, fuck you, humans.
But Jimmy Olsen, not Lois Lane. Is Jimmy Olsen that
Jimmy Olsen is Superman's biggest fan.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. But Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, Ryan.
Yeah, but like, his pal.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Butt buddies. So,
it's also interesting. I mean, not to get too serious with the sci-fi aspect of this, but they're all coming. Not aliens aren't just watching it; they're all sending representatives to this planet to watch the fight, and it's like every single alien is able to live in the same climate of humans. Like it's all the same temperature, gravity.
Well, this
everything.
is a ship; it's not a planet, so I assume it has some sort of artificial atmosphere that if they can't go, they're not gonna. They're only you wouldn't go unless you knew you could live there. So they only send the people that could survive.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But that is also kind of ridiculous that there's thousands of different species that are like.
When you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, were you this nitpicky, Phil?
Yes.
Fuck you.
Oh, also Jimmy Olsen says, old space proverb, too much red sun makes scrub wack-a-ding-hoy, or whatever.
What?
What was that?
Yeah, that's what he says.
He's like, it's so hot here at the red sun. Scrub must be so angry because they're living like this. And then he says, old space proverb, too much red sun makes scrub wack-a-ding-hoy.
What the fuck?
Or wack-a-ding-hot.
I think it's just Jimmy Olsen being a dope.
Yeah.
But to go back to what you were saying about why Jimmy and not Lois, I feel like Lois is a real reporter and Jimmy's just a big fanboy. And I feel like having the fanboy have to describe what they assume is going to be Superman getting the shit kicked out of him is like pretty like damaging to morale.
They want to destroy all hope before
and
they
embarrassing.
They want to make the people feel hope before they crush it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you have my permission to die.
Yeah. So Perry White is Superman's boxing trainer.
Perry White is like the J. Jonah Jameson of DC, but like really nice instead of really mean. But it is really funny seeing him in like a big orange sweatsuit being like, I was a Golden Gloves finalist. I'll help Superman.
I didn't know who he was. I was like, okay.
He's Clark Kent's like editor boss.
Gotcha.
So Superman and Muhammad Ali enter the ring, and there's a weird robot referee, and the match starts.
I love how the robot referee knows exact like Earth boxing lingo, but except he keeps going scree. You both scree, know the rules. I want a clean fight. When I say break, you break. Yeah.
Well, if they can all live in this environment, we can assume they also all box.
Yeah.
So they start fighting, Muhammad Ali and Superman, and Superman puts up like a decent fight, but then Muhammad Ali just starts whacking the shit out of his face, and everyone's just yelling for Superman to fall down, and Superman just refuses.
This fight takes about 4 or 5 pages, and normally I would say like, oh, this is kind of fluff that this fight's taking so long. This is like the coolest fight ever.
It really is, because they narrate it as if it's a boxing match. And Jimmy Olsen, I guess, is the narrator here, and they talk about, he stunned Superman with a solid left jab, hard right to the midsection. Superman's on the, showing signs of life and coming on the counterattack. They really try to narrate it as if this is an actual match.
Yeah.
And as they do it, behind the figures, you'll see an occasional fall down, and as the fight goes on, there's more and more and more words.
Yeah.
And not only does the content of the words do that, but it gives, like, the first page of the fight is mostly empty space with just solid color backgrounds. You don't even see, given Neal Adams' attention to detail, it's obviously intentional that it's just yellow page with figures on it. And then the page just becomes fall down, like, all over the place. Yeah. And it becomes chaotic both in layout and in content.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool fight.
I love how I was really expecting them to just somehow cheat and have Superman win because he's Superman. But as the fight goes on, they're like, Superman's face is a disaster area. Blood is flowing everywhere. And even Lois Lane's like, oh my god, Superman's actually going to die. Yeah. Because Muhammad Ali is literally beating the shit out of him.
Literally, Phil? He's shitting.
Yeah, he probably was.
The shit coming out of his ass.
Do you know it's actually canon that Superman's metabolism and digestive system is so efficient that he gets 100% energy from food and doesn't shit?
Really?
Yeah.
So Superman literally can't get the shit beat out of him.
If he could, it would be coming out.
Why don't you leave the boxing commentary to the experts like Jimmy Olsen, Bill?
So Superman is just fucking getting wrecked under this red sun where he has no powers. Everyone's yelling for Superman to fall down. Superman refuses.
And they're waiting for that finishing blow.
Yeah, but Muhammad Ali just walks away, and Superman just falls down on his own. And then like aliens are going to pick up Superman's body. Muhammad Ali's like, "Get the fuck away from him! We'll take care of our own. You fucking alien pieces of shit."
I love that. He's like, "You come to our planet, shove us around, make us dance to your music. Well, you haven't earned the right to give us a hand now. So if one of you so much as touches him, I'll punch you out."
Yeah.
And he just beat the shit out of Superman. Like, nobody's gonna fuck with him.
Yeah.
And then right after that, it's a full page of Superman, like, totally knocked out, covered in blood and bruises, like, laying on, like, a gurney, while Perry White's like, stand aside, and all the alien press is just, like, taking pictures, and Muhammad Ali is, like, pushing them out of the way, and it is a cool fucking page.
Yeah, so what happens is Superman's now, like, in, like, critical condition, has to be sent back to Earth for treatment.
I love that. He didn't just beat him, he literally put Superman in critical condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because they have to send him back to Earth because there's a hope that maybe the yellow sun might make him be able to heal his wounds.
I also love here how in the fight, even though he got his ass whooped, he, like, by standing up the whole fight and refusing to fall down, it shows to everyone his, like, willpower. And even though he was beaten, he wouldn't give up. And that plays itself out here, where they're sending his pod to Earth for, I guess, medical attention, and all these soldiers of the Scrub are standing at the edge of the, like, dock, and it says, like, no Imperial Order brought them here, but they all salute Superman for his
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. They salute Superman's bravery.
That is so cool.
Yep.
And they say, like, the Emperor will be pissed off if he found out. The Emperor's the guy that keeps harassing Superman and Ali throughout this entire time. And it's basically him just driving all this antagonism. And you see here that maybe all the other Scrubs kind of respect humans, or are starting to respect them because of Muhammad Ali and Superman.
And they say, in their hearts, there's a special place for this alien warrior. And when fighting men sit around cook fires on distant outposts, they'll tell about the man who would not fall down. That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So awesome. Now Muhammad Ali has to go and face off against Hunya. And before that happens, fucking Athena, the goddess of wisdom, shows up.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't get why she shows up here.
She wants to moderate the fight. She's like, I got to make sure this is the most fair fight possible.
One thing that is kind of neat is she's also the aliens' god of, like, courage.
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of, even though, like, you know, everyone's so different and they keep stressing that, apparently we have the same gods.
But gods are, like, universal. Like Yahweh, our true God, one true God, is the same.
I guess you could assume if Athena's real, like, she would be a spiritual presence that wouldn't just be, like, restricted to Earth travel, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they show all these panels of people watching this fight, and it's like all these different kinds of aliens, these slug car aliens watching TV. You know, everyone in the whole universe is like watching this fight, and that's when Athena shows up.
Yeah. And Athena wants to make it a fair fight.
No, she does make it a fair fight. She goes into their unconscious minds and prevents them from, like, cheating. To save confusion, I shall infuse the rules of fair play and the rules of this context directly into your unconscious minds.
And then the Scrub Emperor says, "Okay, Muhammad Ali, now you have to guess. When are you going to knock our guy down? Tell us, or else we're gonna fucking blow your planet up right now." And Muhammad Ali's like, "Okay, you want a fucking prediction? He'll hit the floor in round 1."
No, he says 4. He'll hit the floor in 4.
Yeah, which he's it's another thing he always used to do. He used to try to mix in like rhyming poetry style, like rap style words sometimes when he was talking, and he would always. That's why they asked him to predict, because that was something he used to do. He used to say, you know, round 5 is when he's gonna go down.
Yeah, so he says he'll hit the floor in 4, and furthermore, they have a double-page spread where they show the real Muhammad Ali's photos in the background, while the illustrated Muhammad Ali is in the foreground, just saying, "Oh, well, I promise you, hear my voice now. I'm going to knock Hunya out. I'm going to destroy Hunya. They're all going to tell me after this fight, Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time and space. I'm going to destroy Hunya. I'm getting mad now. I'm going to knock Hunya out. I'm ready. I ain't never been so ready. If I got any better, I'd be scared of myself. After this, going to say, Ali is terrible. They ain't going to say I'm good, I'm great, I'm bad. They're going to say I'm terrible. I'm going to hear the word terrible. I'm mad. I'm terrible. I'm going to destroy. I'm going to get the stage set. All these suckers are thinking this is a tough fight. I'm going to give them all a lesson. I'm going to whoop him and spank him. I'm the greatest. I'm the king."
What a fucking shit talker this guy
Yeah,
is.
but that's his thing, though. He's a shit talker.
If I was supposed to fight this guy and he just beat the shit out of Superman and then gave me that speech, I would just leave. Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I would recommend to all our listeners, if you want, you should go to YouTube and just listen to Muhammad Ali trash talking here and there, and like you can find like best of Muhammad Ali, and this really does it justice. Where he trash talks so hard before all his fights, and this is like iconic Muhammad Ali here.
Yeah. So while this is happening, Muhammad Ali's
Corner man.
corner man.
Yeah, corner man, Bundini Brown.
Bundini Brown's running around just beating the shit out of aliens. That's like Solid Snake. He's sneaking around, just knocking out aliens.
It's a juxtaposed scene of him sneaking around while Hunya actually gets the upper hand and really does some damage to Muhammad Ali.
The first hit he lands on him, like, knocks out his mouth guard and looks like a tooth or something.
And so Muhammad's just beating the shit out of Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali's trying to do what he does in real life, where he's just bracing himself for blows. Like, he's got his fists up, trying to take the body blows, which is very reminiscent of his real life fighting style. This is when they reveal Bundini Brown is actually Superman in disguise. And he takes off his mask.
Well, not the whole time. Like, Bundini Brown is a real guy that was there earlier.
Yeah.
His entire career with Bundini Brown is Superman in disguise.
He's Clark Kent, Bundini Brown, and Superman.
So, yeah, it turns out that he just took off his mask, and he was wearing a mask just for this... The period after he got taken out of the fight. Instead of going back to Earth...
But he actually did super lose the fight, though.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't part of the
Yeah,
act.
Right.
So he lost the fight, and now, instead of going back to Earth, he wanted to get up and... enact the second part of his plan, where he would try to infiltrate the alien ship and move it further away from the Red Sun, so that way he gets powers back.
He says when he was first brought here, before the Red Sun took away his powers, he used his X-ray vision to memorize everything of importance about the ships, and he learned all this information so that he calls the fleet that's orbiting Earth and says, "Hey, it's Emperor Scrub here. Here's the code. Come back to the home planet at full speed. Leave Earth. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, seriously, I'll kill you if you don't do it. So the fleet that was about to blow up Earth leaves.
Yeah, so now Muhammad Ali's just getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's a human being, so he can get the shit kicked out of him. Then the Emperor is like, you're gonna lose, Muhammad Ali, so I give you an offer. You surrender your race to me as slaves, and I'll let you surrender this fight, or else you will die. And Muhammad Ali says, slaves, everyone, no. There's no other choice, sucker. I can whoop him. And he just starts beating the shit out of Hunya.
And I love that the motivation that causes him to like kick up and really like win is the threat of slavery, given how active he was in the civil rights movement.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it does, like I said earlier, really portray the tactic. What do they call the rope-a-dope, where he's hanging on the ropes for a long time. And in a lot of the fights that you watch, where he actually is fighting this way, it seems like he's losing. But when he springs into action and unleashes that energy, it doesn't feel cheap in this comic for him to turn the fight like that, because that actually happened to a lot of
his real
boxers.
fighting style.
Yeah,
and they've hyped it up and explained it in the book, so it's not it's not out of nowhere.
Yeah, like I said, like he's just up against the rope, his fists up, trying to take all these body blows and waiting for the right time to just start railing on his opponent after his opponent gets more and more tired.
Right, you tire out your opponent this way, and mostly you're not taking full hits, because if you watch him actually do this, he leans back every time a blow comes in, and he's on the ropes too. So the
ropes help absorb the impact too.
Right.
So meanwhile, while that's fighting going on, Superman is still doing spy stuff.
But like his power's returning and the ships have moved far away.
Yeah, because the reason why he told them to leave is he lured them away from the Red Sun.
Yeah, now he got his powers back. He's just fucking up the alien ships. As Muhammad Ali's fucking getting the upper hand on Hunya and just punches him so hard he knocks him out of the ring.
Such an awesome panel.
In an awesome 2-page spread.
And it's also worth noting too that this fight was never going to end. It wasn't going to be depending on who wins, because the Emperor, when he sees Muhammad Ali winning, says, you know what, forget it. Just blow up Earth no matter what. So it seems like Superman's like cheating here, but the Emperor was going to cheat anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone in the audience is cheering on Muhammad Ali. So when he says this, everyone's like, "Oh my God, the Emperor's going mad!" Like he said he would let these people go, and now he's going to blow up the Earth. And these people are awesome, and he's going to fucking do this. So like, Emperor's on his own, basically yelling that he's going to blow up Earth, while everyone else is like looking horrified at this news.
Yeah.
And he's showing footage of his fleet going towards Earth, and then that's when he sees Superman fighting off the alien ships. And now all the people in the audience, not only do they see Muhammad Ali kicking the shit out of Hunya, now they see Superman kicking the shit out of all these ships.
It's such a cool space fight too. I've never tried to imagine like one guy fighting an armada, but like they do a pretty good job. He's busting through their force fields, deflecting their like lasers.
Yeah. And he takes a couple hits too.
He actually takes a lot of hits.
And we talk about like in like Wanted in some books, the fighting is just general, just chaos, and the fight just ends. Like there's no real script to what's happening. There's a script to what's happening in the fight here. Like Superman lines up all the ships so he can fly through them all at once, and that turns out to be his big plan. Like
he does. He actually does a space version of the rope-a-dope tactic, because he curls up into a ball and keeps getting shot by all of them. And they form a line to continue firing together, and that's when he unleashes and just flies through all of them at one shot. And it's such a cool scene too, because he flies through every single ship in one line through their engine rooms to blow them up. And he even says, by all laws of nature, sound cannot be heard in space, but if it could, this one scream of agony and determination would be heard throughout the galaxy.
Yeah,
it's so epic. Yeah. It's just so good.
And the Emperor's like, oh, that was great, but you know what? Now Superman's tired. He only took out half the fleet. And so Superman's like lying unconscious in space, tuckered out from all this shit he just blew up.
Tuckered out.
he's a nappy.
It's like a little kid who ran around. It's like, I'm tired now. He got knocked unconscious by fighting a space fleet.
Yeah. But he's unconscious, floating in space. And Emperor's like, never again will Earth pose a threat to the world of the universe. The beauty of the universe will be saved. The dark patch which was Earth. And before he can finish, Hunya punches his giant floating little throne thing and smashed into pieces.
And keep in mind, Hunya hasn't said anything this whole book except Hunya, and now he gives a big monologue.
Yeah. And he says, "Are you so blind, Rattler? No one raised an arm to help you. You have proven yourself to be a coward and a being completely without honor."
Yeah, because the emperor even orders them. He says, "Arrest Hunya, kill him," and the guards all just stand there watching. They're not willing to back up the emperor anymore.
Yeah, and Hunya was inspired by Muhammad Ali and Superman's like nobility and fair play.
And Athena leaves at this point. She's like, "All right, my work here's done. Everyone's fair."
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hunya says, "You have this crazy name of scrub throughout the galaxy, because unlike before, the word scrub has great connotations."
Your shame is our shame.
Well, this is what Ratla actually ruined it. Scrub used to be a great noble term until Ratla invaded in the 70s.
Yeah, and then by the 90s, everyone was saying we don't want no scrubs anymore.
Did you guys not know that?
Yeah, don't fact check us, but it's true. Just accept it.
Yeah, ask any baby boomer. Scrub used to mean strong, powerful warrior.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they take Superman from space, from floating in space. They bring him on a ship, and they have him recover with Hunya and Muhammad Ali there. And Hunya explains that that the Rat Lord, the Emperor, had made them all think that Earthlings were dishonorable and all warlike. But like Superman, by not giving up in the fight, by Superman fighting all those ships even though they're kicking his ass, by Muhammad Ali not giving up even though Hunya was kicking his ass, the two of them basically show that human beings are fucking awesome. This is a great story to show how great Superman and Muhammad Ali are, because like we talk about, like Superman's like a big icon and he's supposed to show the best of humanity. Yeah. The story, by putting in Muhammad Ali here with Superman and using him in this way, is a great tribute to Muhammad Ali too, because it's basically showing Muhammad Ali as the best of humanity as well. Like just like Superman's a greater than life figure, Muhammad Ali's a greater than life figure that shows what human beings can be and what inspiration we can be.
Yeah, and earlier Jimmy Olsen says. He says, like, over the TV, he's like, human beings we usually try not to judge each other based on who's the strongest or the best fighter, but how much we help our neighbors and how, like, fair we are. And then it comes back where Muhammad Ali is like, live by the simple rules of fair play. My people, all people would all get a fair shake. And, like, he says, and I really like the addendum that he says, my people, and then changes it to all people.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just a really cool idea that I think it's showing that he's usually fighting for his specific race, with civil rights and all that stuff, but he addends it as like, look at what Hunya did after he saw how we can be better than this. All people should strive to be better than they are, which is kind of the whole point of Superman.
Yeah, and I think, like Sly was saying, like both of you were saying, that Muhammad Ali's addition here it's such a strong. It emphasizes that point so much more strongly, where they say fair play is what it's all about, and that's what Muhammad Ali, a lot of his life was about, was him saying it's not fair, that this is the way, this is the state of the world, and yeah, what you guys said.
Yeah. Now, after this, I do want to just ask you guys a question. Jimmy says, and speaking of fair shakes, folks, this is Jimmy Olsen, and Lois says, and this is Lois Lane, and then they both go, good life. I don't get that. What does that mean?
I don't get it either.
Good night and good luck, but like they're probably not going to have another intergalactic broadcast ever again. So good life to everyone.
Oh, okay. I guess.
I didn't get that either.
This is a good life. They're just yelling it out loud for no reason.
Yeah. And now here's the epilogue. What happens?
The epilogue is Superman goes meet up with Muhammad Ali, and they discuss what they've done. And Muhammad Ali drops that.
What have you done?
He drops that he knows Superman is Clark Kent, which is Muhammad Ali's stipulation for being in this book. He said, I'll let you put me in this book if Muhammad Ali finds out Superman is Clark Kent.
That's so great.
Which I find cool, because this was like an era where secret identities were like sacrosanct. Like even Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen didn't know Superman's real identity, and they were like his girlfriend and his best friend respectively. And having this be one of the biggest, earliest Superman reveals secret identity things is kind of awesome to me.
Yeah.
And he tells how he figured it out, too.
Yeah.
It's just some, like, context clues. Jimmy mentioned something to Clark that Superman knew later.
Yeah, basically Jimmy forgot his film footage, and then Superman later mentioned it. And then he's like, I could have used X-ray vision. And Muhammad Ali says, but if you use X-ray vision, you would have destroyed the film. And Superman's like, you're right, fuck. You got me.
And then Muhammad Ali goes, Superman calls him champ. and he reaches out to shake his hand, and Muhammad Ali shakes his hand and says, Superman, we are the greatest, instead of his, like, I am the greatest.
Yeah, it's such an awesome, like, 2-page spread again.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali's hand is on Superman's shoulders as he shakes his other one. It's just so cool.
It's so cool.
That ends our retelling.
Yeah, so, recap page. Is it good, bad, or bad?
Good. 100%. This is the best comic I've read in a while, honestly.
This is easily the best one we've done on this show. But I guess that's not saying much. It's better than fucking Trouble.
This is the kind of story I want to do more of. And we kind of set up our next couple episodes to be more like this, where it's controversial and like kind of like off-putting when you hear the premise, but it doesn't mean it has to be a bad story. And this is...
I was initially, like I said earlier, like, I did not think this was going to be good based on the name, because it just sounds like it's a gimmicky, dumb concept, but it's the execution of it that makes it so effective.
And this is one of the best examples of why, when we talk about comics out of context, how easy it is to laugh at like how ridiculous they are, but you can have really awesome stories based on like super ridiculous ideas. Like conceptually, an alien race comes and makes Superman and Muhammad Ali fight. Sounds stupid, but it's handled so well that like I think comics have more than any other medium of great things that on paper seem ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I guess all comics are on paper. But
no, comics are very like
dumb.
Yeah.
Since just a writer and artist, and I feel this way with a lot of books. The less cooks you have in the pot, the more you have this experience.
Wait, why do you put cooks in a pot?
The cooks shouldn't be in the pot at all.
The cook's working on the pot, whatever the
in
term
the
is.
kitchen.
The cook's in the kitchen.
This is how Sly cooks. He bathes in his food before he eats it.
I cook myself. I'm a self-cannibal. But the more people you have working on something, the more you have like that will never work. It's too out there. But with comics, manga, and like books, regular books, literature, you have this experience where it's pure...
manga? I think you mean manga.
Whatever, fuck you.
I think you mean mango.
I'm a Gaijin, I'm sorry. But you have this you have these instances where you basically experience pure id, where you don't think about like whether this is logically stupid on like paper or whatever. You just think like what would be awesome to see and what would be cool just to experiment with, like conceptually.
And I will say though, you're saying you don't think about the logic, but the story actually does make it believable the whole time, and they go through great lengths to make it seem like, okay, they could destroy everything with plasma missiles, so you can't just fight them. Yeah. Okay, they are on equal footing because the Red Sun. Okay, Muhammad Ali would beat Superman in that context. They do take a lot of steps to make sure that the suspension of disbelief isn't broken, because they tried to make it believable.
It doesn't feel as hand wavy as it usually does too.
No. Yeah. I was totally expecting for this to just be comic bullshit where they're like, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to make sense. And for me, that's what takes me out of a lot of comics or fiction in general, when it breaks that. I get taken out of the. I don't believe this could actually happen. And this, for as silly as it is, Superman versus Muhammad Ali, I feel like this could happen.
This goes back to what we talked about Flashpoint. I mentioned it in terms of time travel, where you can do anything, make anything work as long as you're consistent with it. And that's the case. That's the case with most stories. You can make any crazy concept work as long as you set up the rules, you stick to them. You don't have random shit happen randomly in the middle of it to break the flow of the story and make it feel like you're cheating or whatever. And the story doesn't feel like it's cheating. It feels like it's earned everything it does.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about that a lot, and I feel like I bring it up so much, but that's such a big deal for me in fiction. If at any point I feel like the author is cheating, it really kills the story for me, because I immediately get taken out of it. Where if you, like Sly's saying, build a consistent world and you create the story within those parameters the whole time, it really makes the story feel a lot more genuine than a shitty story does.
It's like when CPUs drive faster than you in Mario Kart, and you're like, that's not fair.
It's bullshit. It makes you like the game less.
Yeah. Okay, so I have two brief things to read. They're not both letters, but one is. Okay. But so first, I want to thank Power Posey for the great review on iTunes. That goes as follows. I'm not the biggest comic fan, but I do follow them. These guys pick some crazy comics and just blast them. The one host Sly has some real anger issues, and it's great. And it's great when he really hates something.
It's not Untrue.
Yep.
And a couple weeks ago, when we did Batman Cacophony, we asked for some reinventions of onomatopoeia that would make him a good character, and we got one that I really enjoyed from Never Ever on through Gmail, which, divisiveissues@gmail.com. And I want to know what you guys think of it. What if he somehow connected with the fifth dimension, which he says "ha" after, and if he can make a sound real enough, like the Police Academy guy, the effects actually happen. So his gun sounds are real. If he makes his gun sound believable enough, then you actually get shot. Or maybe he suffers the cause before the effect and doesn't want the power anymore. Like he says "blam blam" and he breaks his finger because a bullet came out of it. Yeah. And then he adds, I don't know, this character really sucks.
I actually love this concept. It reminds me of one of my favorite creepypastas. I read creepypastas, spoilers.
Only the best stories start with, this reminds me of my favorite creepypasta.
But there's a creepypasta I love called Out with a Bang, I believe. And the story's about a kid who's playing with his best friend when he's 9 years old or whatever. And they're playing like cops and robbers or whatever. And, they go like, bang, bang, I got you, bang, bang, I got you. And his friend's doing that to him. And the main character points at his friend and says, bang. And when he does, his friend's face just explodes. Like, gore. And just like a shotgun just exploded his face off. And the police come and they try to explain and say, it must have been like a plane came and dropped something off from overhead and shrapnel caused or something. Because they can't explain like why this child's face exploded out of nowhere. And the story is this kid growing up and wondering, like, when I point at my friend and said, bang, did I make that happen? Do I have the ability to just point at my finger to somebody and kill them like that? And this letter actually reminded me of that concept. And I actually think that concept's cool.
I love it, too. The idea of... Because it's such a cool idea that words can take physical form, or words have more power than we think about.
Yeah.
And you can see that concept in a lot of fiction, actually. Like, even something like Skyrim, the dragon shouts are literally... They're words made power when you bring them into
power,
reality.
like Paragon, right?
Hey, that actually Eternal Darkness also has that, where the words themselves have power to them. Yeah. And if you guys have read The Lies of Locke Lamora, or that series, the Gentleman Bastard series, there are the mages in that series. They're called. I've only read the first one, so I don't know the extent of their powers, but I know the mages in there. It's literally like words. They use words as power, so that if you know someone's name, you actually have power over them in that way. And I think that's such a...
There's a type of magic called true naming, and that's when you know the true name of something, and use that to manipulate that person because you know their true name.
Right. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So onomatopoeia could be cool with that, with like words made power.
You see, the difference between this letter and what Kevin Smith came up with is that he tried to incorporate the concept of onomatopoeia and tried to make him like part of the character itself, and not just the character saying goofy stuff while being a generic killer, basically.
Yeah. The concept is actually integrated into his powers.
So obviously, we fucking love this idea.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
So what I wanted to do was, and I didn't clear it with you guys at all, so you have to fucking deal with it. So since, I guess I could always edit it out later. But since we all love this idea so much of a character reinvention that we asked for, I want to offer Never Enough a chance to pick a book for us to do.
I also extend this offer.
As well. It is unanimous.
By our powers combined.
And I mean, anyone can suggest books whenever they want, either at Divisive Issues on Twitter or, through the email. But
we have to follow this user's suggestion because his words are made power. So
Yes, but I would just like to clarify, you should pick 3 books and we will pick one of the 3.
That's a better idea.
You won, so whatever you want. And so that's it. Also, we are on Google Play and Stitcher now. I mentioned it last time, but we've officially been put up there, and I've never actually used Stitcher before. There's some cool stuff on there, so you guys should check us out on Stitcher, and you don't need an account to write reviews like you do on iTunes. So please write us reviews and stuff like that, and like us or whatever it is else you do, and tweet at us and all that jazz. So that's all I got. So
Do we have recommendations?
Yeah, I don't have one.
Does Phil have one?
I was thinking about this for a while. Yeah, I think it depends on what you liked about the book, of what I could recommend. Like, obviously, if you like the boxing part, there's a million good boxing movies. Watch Rocky, watch $1 Billion Baby, something like that. If you're more interested in the civil rights part of it, if you're like, I like Muhammad Ali for his work in the civil rights movement, and the themes in this book that were about, you know, people being equal, etc., etc. The Eyes on the Prize PBS documentary series about the civil rights movement is really good. But these are pretty different suggestions.
Yeah.
They're both good.
I have a vaguely related one. It's just another weird mashup that I like, and I think we'll do at one point. This is my number one favorite all ball team up. My second favorite is Archie versus the Punisher. If anyone knows what Archie is, the guy in the black sweater with the R on it, with orange hair.
Archie Bunker, right?
Yeah, Archie Bunker, but
From All in the Family.
And Punisher's the guy who murders people. And Archie's the guy who worries about going to Pop's chocolate shop every day and trying to date Betty and Veronica. So the two of them meet, and it's actually a very good crossover that does respect to them in the same way this story does respect to Superman and Ali.
I can't imagine that, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm going to recommend something totally unrelated because I can't think of anything. I just read Paul Dini's Dark Knight: A True Story, and it's all about how he... Actually, it's kind of... I'll make it related. And it's all about how he actually had a real-life tragedy where he was mugged and beaten almost to death, and he used his work on the Batman animated series to kind of be inspired enough by these fictional characters to brush himself off, and over time kind of come to the terms that Batman wasn't going to come save him next time there was a problem. And I think it's related because even though Superman's not real, someone like Muhammad Ali could show us that we can strive to be as good as these fictional characters, and sometimes it's our flaws and humanity that actually make us better.
I think it's a good connection. It's like 6 degrees of Super Mario Sunshine. How can I relate this?
Yeah. So yeah, Dark Knight, a true Batman story.
Superman, Earth, water, Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point. And actually, before this show started, we were talking about Muhammad Ali's flaws as a person, because he has many.
Yeah.
And I think, like Ryan said, that actually does make someone even more human, because you're not going to find anyone in history that you admire that was a flawless being. Like, that's not who humans are.
Yeah.
People always have problems or things you disagree with them on, and
Except for Mr. Rogers.
well, you don't know. You don't know his secret backstory.
I know.
And that's why this book, we have someone like Superman who is perfect but not real, and then you have someone like Muhammad Ali who is flawed but he strove for a lot of greater things.
Yeah.
Cool. So thank you guys so much for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been Ryan.
I've been Sly.
And I'm still Phil.
Stay in continuity.